All right, so today we're diving into something pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Dutch railways and how they've really embraced this whole sustainable transportation thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they've been able to do.
Yeah.
We've got some excerpts from a text file here, and it's really inspiring stuff.
Yeah.
It's like imagine a world where, you know,
Yeah.
you hop on a train,
Yeah.
but then you can seamlessly integrate like cycling into the whole journey. Or,
Right.
take you from like door to door
Yep.
without ever needing a car.
It's really fascinating how they've done that.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's remarkable about the Dutch is that they've recognized that the train is only one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
So it's not just about the trains themselves.
Yeah.
It's about how the Dutch railways have become like this complete mobility solution.
Yeah, and I remember reading about this thing called the first and last mile problem.
Yeah.
You know, that gap between public transit and your actual starting point and destination?
Right.
What have they done to tackle that?
They've essentially eliminated it.
Okay.
So picture this.
Okay.
You're rushing to work,
Uh-huh.
but instead of battling traffic
Yeah.
and searching for parking,
Yeah.
you simply bike to the nearest train station.
Okay.
And not just any bike rack.
Oh.
We're talking a massive, guarded bike parking facility
Okay.
with thousands of spaces.
Wow.
Some stations
Yeah.
like Utrecht Central
Mm-hmm.
can accommodate over 12,000 bikes.
12,000 bikes.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
That's more bikes than some towns have people.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's mind-blowing.
But with so many bikes in one place,
Yeah.
how do they manage security?
Right.
I mean, I'd be worried about leaving my bike there.
Well, that's where their smart access systems come in.
Okay.
They've invested heavily in technology.
Mhm.
CCTV cameras,
Yeah.
electronic gates
Right.
that use your train ticket for access.
Wow, that's smart.
And even designated areas for e-bikes with charging stations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they haven't just thrown a bunch of bike racks together.
Right.
They've really thought through every detail.
So it seems like they're really trying to encourage people to choose bikes over cars.
Absolutely.
And speaking of bikes,
Yeah.
I read about their national bike sharing program,
Right.
OV Feets.
Yeah, OVF.
What's that all about?
It's a stroke of genius, really.
Okay.
Basically, for a few euros a day,
Mm-hmm.
you can rent a bike right at the train station.
Okay.
Hop off the train
Right.
and seamlessly continue your journey.
So convenient.
Yeah. And they even offer electric and cargo bikes for those who need them.
Oh, wow.
So it's a versatile system that caters to a wide range of needs.
That's incredible.
It is.
It almost sounds too good to be true.
Right.
Are there any downsides to this system?
Well, I mean, there are always challenges, of course.
Right.
But one thing the Netherlands has in its favor is a long-standing cycling culture.
Mm-hmm.
They've been investing in cycling infrastructure and promoting a bike-friendly mindset for decades.
Yeah.
So replicating that in other countries with a stronger car culture
Right.
could be tricky.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's not just about the physical infrastructure, is it?
No, not at all.
It's about changing people's attitudes and habits as well.
Exactly.
But I guess that's where this OV Feets program comes in, right?
Exactly.
By making bikes so readily available and affordable,
Yeah.
it encourages people to give cycling a try.
Right. It gently nudges people towards a more sustainable mode of transport.
Right.
But it's not just about convenience.
Yeah.
The Dutch understand that for people to embrace cycling,
Mm.
it needs to be safe and enjoyable.
Right.
That's why their entire transportation system is built around this idea of seamless integration.
What does that look like in practice?
Imagine this.
Okay.
You buy a single ticket
Mm-hmm.
that covers both your train journey and your OV fees rental. You can do it all through a user-friendly smartphone app,
Right.
complete with contactless payments.
Nice.
Then, when you arrive at your destination,
Yeah.
you're greeted by a network of dedicated bike lanes,
Right.
bike-friendly traffic signals,
Mm-hmm.
and overall infrastructure that prioritizes cyclists.
Okay, now that is impressive.
It is a well-designed system.
They've really thought of everything to
Yeah.
make this a smooth and hassle-free experience.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious,
Hmm.
does this integrated ticketing system apply to all forms of public transport, like buses and trams?
Well, the OV Feets program is specifically designed for train travelers.
Okay.
The Netherlands has been working towards a more unified ticketing system
Okay.
for all forms of public transport.
Right.
They're looking at ways to integrate buses, trams, even ferries
Wow.
into this seamless network.
Okay.
It's all about making sustainable transport the most attractive option for everyone.
That's a really ambitious goal.
It is.
But it seems like they're well on their way to achieving it.
They are. They're making great strides.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
It is.
So we've seen how the Dutch have managed to create this amazingly integrated system where trains and bikes work together seamlessly.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned earlier, they've had a bit of a head start.
They have.
Right, this whole cycling culture
Yeah.
is something they've been nurturing for decades.
Absolutely. The Netherlands didn't become a cycling paradise overnight.
Right.
It's the result of long-term vision
Mm.
and consistent investment
Right.
in infrastructure and public awareness campaigns.
So that's a big lesson for other countries looking to emulate their success.
It is.
It takes more than just building bike lanes.
Yeah,
It takes like a fundamental shift in thinking about transportation as a whole.
Right, exactly.
It makes you wonder, like, what sparked this commitment to cycling in the first place?
Yeah.
Was it a response to some kind of crisis or challenge?
Well, it's actually a fascinating story. Back in the 1970s, the Netherlands, like many other countries,
Yeah.
was heavily car dependent.
Right.
Traffic congestion was rampant,
I can imagine.
pollution levels were soaring,
Yeah.
and there were growing concerns about road safety,
Mm-hmm.
particularly for children.
So it sounds like they were facing many of the same problems
Right.
we
Yeah.
see today
Right.
in cities all around the world.
Exactly. But instead of accepting this as like the inevitable price of progress,
Right.
the Dutch decided to take a different path.
Okay.
They recognized that relying so heavily on cars
Yeah.
was simply unsustainable,
Mm-hmm.
both environmentally and socially.
So what did they do?
Yeah.
Did they just start building bike lanes and hope for the best?
It was more nuanced than that.
Okay.
It started with a series of policy changes
Mm-hmm.
aimed at discouraging car use
Okay.
and promoting alternatives like cycling and public transport.
Right.
They invested heavily in building dedicated bike paths,
Mm-hmm.
separate from car traffic, and introduced traffic calming measures in residential areas.
And it wasn't just about infrastructure, was it?
No.
They also had to convince people to actually use these alternatives.
Right. They launched massive public awareness campaigns
Okay.
to highlight the benefits of cycling,
Mm-hmm.
emphasizing its health, environmental, and economic advantages.
Makes sense.
And they also made a concerted effort
Yeah.
to make cycling safe and accessible
Mm-hmm.
for people of all ages and abilities,
Right.
not just the hardcore enthusiasts.
So they basically had to create a whole new culture around cycling.
They did. It was a cultural shift.
Did they face any pushback from people who were used to driving everywhere?
There was definitely some resistance at first.
Yeah.
Change is never easy.
Right.
And some people were skeptical
Mm-hmm.
of giving up the perceived convenience of their cars.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the government persisted. And over time,
Yeah.
as the infrastructure improved and more people embraced cycling, it became a self-reinforcing cycle.
I guess once you experience the joy of a smooth, traffic-free bike ride,
Yeah,
it's hard to go back to sitting in gridlock.
exactly. And the more people cycled,
Yeah.
the safer it became,
Right.
which encouraged even more people to try it.
Yeah.
It became a virtuous cycle.
This is where I think we could learn a lot from the Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
They understood that creating a sustainable transportation system
Yeah,
requires a holistic approach.
it does.
It's not just about providing options.
Right,
It's
yeah.
about making those options so appealing and convenient
Yeah,
that they become the preferred choice.
precisely. And it's about understanding that real change takes time and sustained effort.
It's a long game.
It is. It's not a quick fix.
Yeah.
It's a long-term commitment
Right.
to transforming the way we think about mobility.
So it sounds like the Dutch model is about much more than just bikes and trains.
It is.
It's about creating a whole new mindset, a
Mhm.
culture where sustainable transportation is the norm. It's not the exception.
Exactly. It's a cultural shift that goes hand in hand with policy changes and infrastructure development.
Mm-hmm.
It's about creating an environment
Right.
where people choose to cycle or take public transport
Yeah.
because it's simply the easiest, most enjoyable, and most sensible way to get around.
But let's be realistic.
Right.
Not every country has the same historical and geographical advantages as the Netherlands.
Right.
They're a relatively small, flat country
Mm.
with a long tradition of cycling.
Yeah.
How can their model be applied to places that are
Right.
more sprawling,
Yeah.
hilly, or car-centric?
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
The Dutch model isn't a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It needs to be adapted and tailored
Mm-hmm.
to different contexts.
Okay.
But the core principles,
Yeah.
Investing in safe and convenient alternatives to driving,
Right.
promoting a culture of cycling,
Mm-hmm.
and integrating different modes of transport,
Yeah.
those are universally applicable.
So it's about taking inspiration from the Dutch experience and adapting it to local circumstances.
Exactly.
What would you say are some of the key challenges
Yeah.
to implementing these principles in other parts of the world?
One major challenge is overcoming the deeply ingrained car culture
Mm-hmm.
that exists in many countries.
Right.
We've grown accustomed to this idea that owning a car
Yeah.
is a symbol of freedom and status.
Right.
And changing that mindset isn't easy.
Especially when you consider how much our cities and infrastructure are designed around cars.
Right.
Wide roads, sprawling suburbs,
Yeah.
limited public transport options. It all reinforces this idea that you need a car to get around.
Exactly. And this is where strong political will and leadership are crucial. It takes courageous decision-making
Yeah.
to prioritize sustainable transport over car-centric policies,
Right.
even if it means facing opposition
Yeah.
from powerful interest groups.
Because let's be honest,
Yeah.
the car lobby can be pretty powerful.
Oh, they are.
They don't give up their dominance easily.
That's true. But as the negative consequences of car dependence become more apparent,
Right.
climate change, air pollution, traffic congestion,
Yeah.
the pressure for change is growing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where grassroots movements and citizen activism play a vital role.
Right.
The more people demand better alternatives to driving,
Yeah.
the more likely it is that governments will respond.
So it's not just about waiting for politicians to act.
No,
We can all play a role in pushing for change in our own communities.
absolutely advocate for better cycling infrastructure, support public transport initiatives,
Yeah.
and even just talk to your friends and family about
Okay.
the benefits of a less car-dependent lifestyle.
It all makes a difference.
It does. Every voice counts.
You know, one thing that struck me about the Dutch model
Mhm.
is the emphasis on collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not just the government dictating solutions. It's a partnership between government agencies, transport providers, businesses, and citizens.
You're right. That collaborative approach is key.
Yeah.
It's about bringing everyone to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Urban planners, engineers,
Right.
policymakers, community groups,
Yeah.
even businesses,
Mm-hmm.
to create a shared vision for a more sustainable future.
Because ultimately, creating a truly sustainable transportation system isn't just about infrastructure or technology. It's
No.
about people.
Yes.
It's about creating a system that works for everyone,
Right.
that improves our quality of life,
Mhm.
and that ensures a healthy planet
Yeah.
for future generations.
And that's a goal worth striving for,
Absolutely.
no matter where you live in the world.
All right, so we've gone pretty deep into this world of Dutch railways
Yeah.
and how they've really embraced this whole sustainable transportation thing. But we're not done yet.
No.
We've talked about like the what and the why.
Yeah.
Now let's get to the how.
Right. The practicalities.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How can we, even those of us not living in the Netherlands,
Right.
apply these principles to our own lives?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, it's easy to be impressed by the Dutch model,
Right.
but it's another thing entirely to figure out how to bring those ideas home.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Creating a more sustainable way of getting around
Mm-hmm.
doesn't require like a complete overhaul of your city overnight.
Right.
It can start with you
Okay.
right now.
So what's the first step? We all go out and buy Dutch bikes.
Well, a Dutch bike wouldn't hurt,
Okay.
but I think the real starting point is taking a good look at your own transportation habits.
Okay.
How much do you rely on your car,
Right.
and for what kinds of trips?
Yeah.
Could any of those journeys be made by bike,
Mm-hmm.
on foot,
Yeah.
or using public transport?
I think a lot of us might be surprised at how many car trips are actually for short distances.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the kind that could easily be replaced with a bike ride or a brisk walk.
Absolutely.
Right.
Even if you can't eliminate car use entirely,
Right.
shifting even a small percentage of your trips can make a difference.
That's true.
Imagine if everyone in your neighborhood
Mm.
committed to like one car-free day a week.
Okay.
Think about the impact that would have
Yeah.
on traffic congestion,
Right.
air quality,
Yeah.
even your own health.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a simple change,
Yeah.
but it can make a big difference.
But what about those of us who live in cities that aren't exactly bike-friendly?
Right.
I'm thinking of places with limited bike lanes,
Yeah.
aggressive traffic, hilly terrain.
Well, it's true. The infrastructure plays a huge role
Yeah.
in making cycling a safe and appealing option.
Right.
But remember, the Dutch system didn't materialize overnight.
Right.
It was the result of years of advocacy and pressure from citizens
Okay.
who demanded better cycling infrastructure.
So we can't just sit back and wait for change to happen.
No.
We need to be proactive.
You got to be proactive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Become an advocate for better cycling infrastructure in your city.
Okay.
Contact your local representatives.
Right.
Attend city council meetings. Join cycling advocacy groups.
Yeah.
Make your voice heard.
Right.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease, as they say.
And even while we're pushing for those bigger changes,
Yeah.
there are things we can do on an individual level.
Absolutely.
Like choosing to bike or walk, even when it's not the most convenient option.
Right.
It sends a powerful message that we value sustainable transportation.
Exactly. And those individual choices,
Yeah.
when multiplied across a community, can start to shift the culture.
That's true.
You never know who might be inspired
Right.
by seeing you out there on your bike.
You know, when we talk about sustainable transportation,
Yeah.
it's easy to get bogged down in the practicalities. Bike lanes, bus routes,
Train schedules.
train schedules, right?
Yeah.
But we shouldn't forget the simple joy of a bike ride or a walk through your neighborhood.
That's so important. It's not just about getting from point A to point B.
Right.
It's about enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
Cycling can be a form of meditation, a way to connect with your surroundings,
Yeah.
get some exercise, clear your head.
And let's be honest,
Yeah.
sometimes a bike ride is just more fun
It is.
than sitting in traffic.
Absolutely.
So even if you're skeptical about ditching your car entirely, I encourage you to embrace those moments
Yeah.
when cycling or walking can add a little joy to your day.
Absolutely.
You might be surprised at how quickly it becomes a habit.
It can.
So to wrap things up,
Okay.
what's like the one key takeaway you'd like listeners to remember from our deep dive into Dutch railways and sustainable mobility?
Well, I think the Dutch have shown us
Yeah.
that sustainable transportation isn't just a utopian ideal.
Right.
It's a reality that can be achieved
Yeah.
with vision, commitment,
Yeah.
and collaboration.
And while the Dutch model may not be directly replicable everywhere,
Right.
the underlying principles of prioritizing cycling, integrating transportation systems,
Right.
and fostering a culture of sustainability, those can be adapted and applied in any context.
Exactly. It's about taking those principles and figuring out how they can work for you.
It's been an incredible journey exploring this topic with you.
It has.
We hope you found it as inspiring as we have.
Yeah, we hope you've learned something
Yeah.
and that you're feeling motivated to make some changes in your own life.
Till next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring
Keep questioning.
and keep on rolling towards a more sustainable future.
Absolutely.